Now, community news. So anybody on the panel got any community news? I got a few more announcements to go through, but I want to give everybody a chance to jump in there. Anybody got anything to share?
I just say that I returned from the conference. It was awesome. I've got a plush toy. It's from the famous Russian game Cut the Rope. And a mug from the conference organizers. So it was pretty profitable conference for me.
I saw you also got like a guillotine pin.
Yes, guillotine pin.
Show us that thing.
Where this hazardous weapon of destruction.
Hazardous weapon. It looked like a thumb remover.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, here is it. So this is a pen.
Yeah.
You open it like this. It has this, I don't know, bump to close it. And when you close it, you get your finger. Thank you.
Yeah, see, no good deed goes unrewarded. I mean, basically, you know.
In the making right there, buddy.
What is it?
That's a lawsuit in the making. My finger.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I love that. That's fantastic. I don't know what they were thinking there.
They can get away.
By
the way, if you know Russian, there are going to be videos from this conference, and its conference itself was very cool. There were a lot of talks about security on Android, about a few talks about game development and other stuff. Interesting talk about Google Chromecast, and yeah, overall it was pretty amazing.
And this was just solely focused on Lua, is that correct?
No, it was a mobile development conference.
Okay, mobile.
Not Lua.
Okay, so last year there were just sessions on Lua, though.
Yeah, no, the last conference before that was on Lua. It's called Lua Conference, and this is a different one.
Oh, good. I'm glad I got all my details straight.
You could just say, I don't speak Russian, so I couldn't read what the thing was about.
Yeah, well, I can't get away with that with Google Translate. Always wanting to translate things for me. Well, we'll put a link in the show notes to that so people can get the videos and attend, even though they weren't able to attend. That's cool. Anybody else got anything?
I got two small things, but I wanted to wait until everybody else got their chance.
Okay. Well, nobody's popping off of mute, so go ahead.
I've got one thing, and then I wanted to correct you, actually. I want to give Sergey credit on the particles business, because, you know...
Give me all your credits.
Sir?
He says, give me all your credits.
Yes, indeed. Well, I'll give you everything. Yeah, sure. Right. All my credit. There you go. It's yours. All the credit is yours for Zigzag Boom. Really, Sergey, he did it all. I was just...
Thanks.
But I just want to say that he pushed me in the right direction to improve the visual look, the aesthetic there, and that really made a big difference to the final look, I think, of the player object. The other thing I wanted to mention is a big mistake that I made, and I got a few complaints about it. It's fixed, so anybody who downloads Zigzag Boom, all of the code is now fixed, but there was a library in there called Case Error Detect. It was just a script that I made some time back in answer to somebody's complaint in the forums. In a nutshell, what it does is it will detect mistakes in file case. So if you'll have a PNG file named Bob, capital B, and you refer to it as Bob, lowercase b, in your code, or vice versa, if you run this module first, or you load it first, it will pop up an error and tell you what mistake you have made and where you made it. Well, people run into this all the time, right? Because the simulators do not care, but once you get onto the device, Android, iOS, they both are case sensitive, and the app will fail. You're in a situation where if you're not familiar with using the tools, you're like, I don't know how to look at the log. What happened? So I wrote this up, and then I don't know how many times I've done this. I made the assumption that it just worked because it was working for me. Well, turns out there was a small issue with Corona's detection of the resource directory that I was just assuming was working, and it didn't. And so for anybody who was running the simulation of this game, this demo, this clone on OS 10, and they had the case error detect code in there. It was crashing immediately, and with a very strange error for anybody who's not familiar with what I was doing. So, anyways, that's fixed. Shouldn't run into any more problems.
So what I hear is you need a module that checks your module.
Well, no, what you need to do is not release something as a fix for people and not check it on both of the major operating systems that people use to develop in. Well, the only two that they have to develop in, right?
Right. All right. Well, that's good. It's out there. It's fixed. And you said you submitted that as a bug report or something, right?
Yeah, I submitted a small bug report against that, and then I used Sergey's input. He gave me some input over the weekend on how to bypass that issue, and I used that, and also noted that in the forum, so folks who have the same problem I ran into can use Sergey's tip to resolve it.
Excellent.
Or to bypass it.
All right. Yeah. You guys, if you have links to those things, send them to me, and I'll add them to the show notes.
I should start giving a nickel to Sergey every time he corrects me, because Sergey's like, yeah, but give me $1.
Nickels are worthless. Give me more.
I'll tell you what. I'll include you in my memoirs.
Take some Bitcoin. Do some Bitcoin. That'll make it.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Well, excellent. Well, one extra piece of news here is that there's now a Corona store. So if you guys haven't seen that, it's a blog post out there on the Corona Labs blog. You can go to store.coronalabs.com and see it in action. So, just in summary, what the blog post says, at the moment the store is in its early stages. So, what you're going to find there are the plugins that were previously made available to the community are going to be there in the store. So they're free plugins that are in the store, and then they're working on the next iteration of the store, which will actually be developer plugins submitted from the community. So right now, if you go to the page, there is there's a link, and that link says submit a plugin. And as Sergey has already seen, that it's not necessarily a plugin submission form or anything like that. It's more of an application form to say, hey, I'm raising my hand. I'm interested in creating a plugin, and here's my idea, and let's see if we can work together. So if you're interested in expressing interest in creating a plugin, then definitely go fill that out and let Corona know. And then hopefully at some point we'll have an automated system where people can submit their binaries and all that kind of stuff like that. But these things happen in phases. So this is phase 1, and so we'll check it out. And the other exciting piece of news there is that all the plugins that Corona has created are now open sourced. So in that same blog post, you can find the link to the GitHub repo where you can download the open source plugins and have fun.
Hey, I have another thing to say. Barry just hit me with another project that he's working on. It's a platformer game. He can present it himself because he has no microphone or camera right now, but he wanted me to do it.
Okay, go ahead.
I hope you can see it, and I hope I can play it in inverse. So it's a platformer engine, and it's entirely, the physics and collisions are entirely Lua-based, with no physics in use. Where is the jump button? Here is the jump button. So you can see at the bottom there are small sensors that detect the platform where it stands, and all the calculations are in Lua. So Barry still works in Corona, so he's not disappearing, and yeah, he's working his games.
It looks nice.
That's impressive. So all of the collision calculations are done in Lua?
Yes, only in Lua. Everything. It runs really smooth and it looks very great. So it's definitely a good project.
Yeah.
Very cool. I like the, what is that, like 3 or 4 layers of parallax that's going on.
Yeah, there's a parallax going on.
So what's the future of this project? Where's it going?
I'm not sure.
Well, use your ESP.
He says it has 6 layers of parallax. That's pretty wild.
Yeah. So Barry says that he's not a fan of physics, and it has 6 layers of parallax. If you include the background, it makes 7 of them.
Good grief. It's
And
amazing.
he says he doesn't like physics engines. Oh, was I supposed to say that?
Yeah, we're reading.
I said he doesn't like it because it takes a lot of unnecessary calculations if you just want collisions and not just like smooth movement.
So if you know exactly what you're doing, then you can do it yourself. Yeah, that's cool. So the question
work, Barry.
is this going to go, I'm sorry, I missed it. Is this going to go into a final game that you're going to release? Or are you going to release the code? Or what's the plan? I'm looking at.
Yeah, I'm looking in the chat here. He says six of the layers are based on tiled, and in general, he's not a fan of physics engines, not necessarily just Coronas, but physics engine in general, especially for the simpler stuff. And he says, I'd like to release the code or sell it at least. So,
all right.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right, cool. He says it's a project that didn't get finished a while back. That's amazing. I mean, it's interesting always to see what vantage point people come in at, because he's saying here that he doesn't like physics engines generally for the simpler stuff. And I'm thinking that's a matter of perspective, right? One of the reasons that people like myself. Yeah, one of the reasons that people like myself get so excited about having a built-in physics engine is that it's heavy lifting is already done. Obviously Barry can write the pieces that he needs in order to make all that happen. So that's
Barry himself is a heavy lifter.
Yeah, definitely a matter of perspective.
I got a question for you since you got it in front of you, Sergey. Is there a tilted or an angled platform there? I couldn't quite see it because it wasn't in focus.
Yeah, there are angled platforms, and he can move up and down the slopes and jump with them.
Nice. He's handled the I'm talking about you in the third person there, Barry, since you can't defend yourself. You've done collision detection calculations on an angle, that's cool.
It's really cool, and he's saying about the tiled engine, the tiled programs that it exports to Lua are now much better than it previously did, and it's easy to import tiled now in Corona.
Yeah, previously you had to use some kind of conversion software to import the tiled information. Ramsey had a line back a few years ago, but yeah, now if tiled's been updated so that you can export straight to Lua, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to update my tiled.
Yeah, I stopped playing with that a long time ago. Huh.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Congratulations. We're looking forward to seeing. I'm looking forward to seeing the code.
Maybe at some point we can do it as a topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be awesome.
I mean, I would definitely like to see a discussion of some of the techniques that you used. You, Barry, I'm talking to you, who cannot respond.
Yeah, let's let Barry post a link to Android version, and everybody can download it. And yeah, it's a little bit creepy that we all read from the chat what Barry says.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're all channeling Barry's persona here, but
Yes.
just for the benefit of the home gamers, so they can.
It feels like
he is. We need a cat.
He says, "Lurg is my puppet." Nice.
It feels like he's communicating with us on the show, because users don't see the chat, and we just our ideas pop in mind and we say them.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, we should get a puppet. We'll get a puppet, and then anybody who's in the chat, we'll just do the puppet. That would be a little creepy.
It's a little creepy.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's. I think that's all the announcements that I had, and I'm downloading his APK right now, so I want to play that for sure. He said, "I hope it works." Yeah, I hope it does too. I'm sure it will. So let's get into today's topic. I know we want to save lots of time for that.